Hey, it's Joy. I've got big feelings about little things, and I want to talk about it. Oh yeah, I'm mad about it. And the fact that everyone else is not up in arms about it is a big part of the problem. Oh, I bawled my eyes out, like I always do. It was the sweetest thing. Oh, it was the cutest thing. It was the funniest thing. Thanks for being here. Let's go. Hello, big feelers. Thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year. It is another new year. I hope everything is going great for you so far. I hope that everything is all that you dreamed it would be for the new year. Just like it always is every new year, right? I had a great start to the new year, actually. My friend that we chatted before, we chatted about going to Lizzo at the last moment, and we had a little disagreement about whether we should take the Uber or the train in New York to get to our flight. That friend, my Yolo friend is what I call her, my travel buddy. She and I, that during that trip last year, I pulled off for a few minutes like I do every single new year. I might have mentioned this briefly before, but I always put aside a few minutes at the beginning of every year to just look back on the last year and remind myself all that happened. Some's going to be good, some's going to be bad, some's going to be learning experiences, it's going to be everything. But you literally forget how much happened in a year because it's a long time, actually. So I've done that for many, many years, and it's been very helpful for me. And she mentioned this year, she's like, I kind of want to do something like that too. I think it might be a nice intentional way to start the year. So we both agree, yeah, we'll figure something out to have like a nice intentional start for the year. And I came across this podcast of Mel Robbins, who I'm sure you've heard of. She's having a big moment right now, but I came across her. She has like a step-by-step how to do an evaluation, an audit of the year before. She gets way more detailed than I did. And I listened to that and thought, yeah, I can elevate my New Year's, my year audit. And so I followed her kind of guidance as far as I've always done this. Make sure you check your journal, make sure you check your calendar, make sure you check your pictures, because that's how I know what happened this year. Those are the literal only ways I know what happened last year or what has happened the past 5 days, to be honest with you. And she asks some very specific questions like, what were the highs? What were the lows? What did you learn about yourself? What do you want to start doing? What do you want to stop doing? What do you want to keep doing? And what can you do today to kind of get going with that, whatever it is you want to do? And so my friend and I, we went to like kind of a little quiet little inn. It was honestly amazing. And I must say out loud, since very recently I was complaining about customer service, the staff at this inn, their customer service was to a level I have not experienced in many years. And the difference was, besides providing that level of customer service, they were so authentic about it. And they seemed so authentic about wanting to make our stay just easy and delightful and light. And they did such a nice job of it. And I can say that about every single staff that was there. So I know that I have to be careful when I say certain things that, I'm going to have to maybe eat those words. And I did certainly have to eat those words during that stay, because that customer service was excellent. And it was just a delight to meet those people. But we did an intentional start. And I don't know, a common thing that's coming up right now, this has been going on for maybe a few years, but I certainly have done it for a couple of years. But it's getting very, very popular for people to choose a word for the year. Choose a word to kind of be your theme for the year. Be somewhat of a goal, somewhat of a guiding force, somewhat of just an umbrella for what you're hoping for or what you're reaching for or what you would like to happen this year or how you want to be, how you want to show up for the year. And I'll give you some examples of some that I've done. I did ask one year because I was noticing myself living in a lot of fear and just not willing to even ask for, this is not a recent one, so I don't have an example right off the top of my head, but the thing is, if you never ask, the answer definitely is no. Or the answer is definitely you're not going to get what you're looking for, whether it's like a discount on something, whether it's to have a conversation that you want to have, whether it's an opportunity that you're looking for, whether it's whatever thing. You've got to at least ask. So mine was ask that year, and it was encouraging me to try to be bold and to be creative and to consider. And the reason I'm talking about this is I don't want to say I want to warn you, but I do want you to be mindful of something. It can be very scary to pick a word. It can be very scary to pick a word because if you pick something that requires something of you, then you're really putting it out there. You're putting it out there. You're telling people that's some accountability for you, right? And even for yourself, to acknowledge to yourself, oh, I've got to do this. The big one I can think of that one of my best girlfriends is using this year is brave. My voice cracked just a little bit saying it because it's scary, right? It's scary to say, I'm going to be brave. My word last year was brave, and it was very, very vulnerable to say that. Because the thing about it is, someone very wise told me when I was in my 20s, he said that here's the thing about asking for stuff, or here's the thing about making a bold proclamation about something. He said, people want to ask for patience, and they think when that request gets answered, that they're just going to be this peaceful person that has patience, that nothing bothers them, and they're just they're just floating on this little cloud, and here they are with their patience. When in actuality, when you ask for patience, the answer, the response is to put you in a situation that will require patience. That's how you develop patience. It's not it doesn't land on you. You're not instilled with it. You earn it. It has to be, that muscle has to be worked first. And so when you say, I'm going to be brave this year, it's not this thing where you just have a wash of confidence over you and nothing phases you and you walk through, with your chest out like Wonder Woman. It's not the same thing. It actually means you're going to do some scary stuff. You're going to do something that you haven't done before, or that you've been scared to do, or that you want to do but most people can't do, and it requires bravery. And you have to work that muscle inside of something scary to actually be brave. So I'm not saying all this to tell you to not choose a big brave word. I'm just saying, don't be surprised when you choose brave, or you choose, I'm trying to think of what a really other scary one would be. When you choose that thing, You're going to be put in a circumstance where that is challenged. So I say that for you to be prepared. My word last year was brave, and it was, I was vulnerable most of the year. I had to be brave because I didn't have my protection around me. I had to be brave and show up even without all that protection. I have to be vulnerable. I have to, all these things I'm going to say on this podcast are just going to be out there forever. And if people want to, whatever, make fun of me, say I'm stupid, laugh at me, any of those things, or have everything that worries me and scares me and is in my head, you're going to know all that. Okay. That's a very vulnerable place to be. To start something that you literally don't know what to do, how to do it, what equipment do I need? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do? Constantly living in a circumstance where you're not good at the things that you're doing, that is extremely vulnerable, and you have to be very brave for it. But on the other side, it's worth it. So I'm not saying this to keep you from making a big, bold statement about the year. I just don't want it to surprise you when it comes. Now, I have a great example for you of this, okay? When Yolo and I were just processing through our words and what did we get to do last year that was cool, and what are we going to do this year that we kind of think is fun? I had a little, just very little side note. You know, I'm just like everybody else. Every new year, I'm like, everything's going to be different. I'm going to do all these big major projects. Truth be told, you can probably change one small thing and one big thing. Maybe. I mean, that's a really good year, right? One big thing and one little thing. But I told her, I said, one of my little things that I'm going to work on is I'm going to stop apologizing when I do not owe an apology. Now, let me just say, apologies are beautiful and necessary, and they are horribly underused in our society. I could probably list you a few people that I think have maybe never apologized to anyone at all for anything, even if they owe it. If I owe an apology, I would like to keep apologizing. I do apologize. It is very hard to do. Talk about vulnerable. It is extremely vulnerable to admit that you made a mistake, to apologize, to ask someone for forgiveness. And it's a vulnerable thing to be asked for forgiveness, because you could totally rub that in their face if you want. Yeah, you did do that wrong. Yeah, you are the worst. Yeah, I'm sick of it. Yeah, you better apologize. And honestly, I've been on the other end of that. But I've also been on the other end of someone being so kind and then gracious and fully forgiving, but also apologizing for what their part of whatever's going on was. And that is such a beautiful restorative thing. So if I owe an apology, I do want to continue to apologize. But I say, I'm sorry so many times when that is not the approach, when that's not really what I mean. For an example, many times I actually mean excuse me. If I'm walking somewhere where I'm allowed to walk and supposed to be taking up space, and someone else is walking where they're supposed to be walking and we're both taking up space, and we run into each other, that I don't need to apologize for that. Oh, excuse me. Didn't mean to run into you. That's an appropriate answer. Sorry. Anytime I feel like I'm in the way, taking up space that I shouldn't be, my list could honestly go on and on. It's so pervasive that I can't even think through. I just know that in the last less than 10 days, there's probably been at least 10 times a day that I've gone to say I'm sorry. And I have to think, well, am I sorry? Is there something I need to say sorry for? Now, I mean, obviously, if something sad has happened and you are offering your condolences, I don't mean don't say yours. Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I hate that. And that's a tough thing you're going through. I'm here for you. I don't mean that. I'll just tell you my example from today. I had to go to the doctor today for something that was like kind of embarrassing. It's not your most favorite thing to have to go to the doctor for. And the entire time I was there, I thought saying, I'm sorry. I'm here. What I really meant with I'm sorry is I'm embarrassed and I wish we weren't having to do this. I'm sorry. See, like it just rolls off my, I'm sorry. I wish we weren't having to do this. And what I also really meant to say is thank you for helping me. I'm embarrassed. I cannot help myself. I'm vulnerable. I need your help. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for going to school to do all this stuff because I cannot help myself. If I break my arm, there's nothing I can do. I would never say, oh, I'm sorry to take up your time doing this, but can you fix my arm? You'd be like, my arm is broken. Help me. And say thank you. So I even told her, I said, I'm working on it. I said, I'm trying really hard not to say I'm sorry because she's like, that's what I'm here for. And I said, that's my point. This is what you're here for. And I super appreciate it. And you're amazing and you're helpful. Thank you so much. I want to be saying thank you. Not I'm sorry. I want to be saying thank you. So I would encourage all of us to keep that in mind. Because as soon as I said that to Yolo, she said, oh gosh, I was just having this conversation with this guy that I know. I can't remember if she worked with him or who, but she said, yeah, he said, there's one thing I'd really like you to work on. And she's like, what? And he said, you apologize too much. And it kind of shook her because she didn't realize that. We do it without even thinking about it. And I think there's a lot against us. I do think mostly women do that. I don't really notice a lot of men doing that. I'll keep my ear out for it. I could be very wrong on that, but I know a lot of women do that. And I definitely think some of us from the southern states, we're a little bit more wrapped up into all that, Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, but I've got to ask. And so I'll even do it when I say, like when I go to tell somebody something, like, hey, sorry if this is like not my place, but I think you're great at so-and-so and you should check out so-and-so. You know what? Stand in that. You don't have to apologize for that. If they don't want to look at it, they don't have to. If they don't want to receive that, they don't have to. But you know what? I thought of you. I do think this is I think this is a really cool thing that you should check out. And I'm not going to apologize for saying it. It's a reaction more than anything. I'm sorry. And I know there was a big book about it a few years back. I didn't read it, but there's my take. There's my take on it. She's probably right. I have no idea. I'm definitely not going to read it. And I'm not sorry. That's really hard, but we're going to get there. Okay. Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening to Little Things, Big Feelings with Joy Delaney. I'm James, the producer, editor, director, and executive producer. Follow Joy on socials at Joy Delaney Cox on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Honestly, forget TikTok. I don't even know how to use it
You don't
anyway.
know how to use it anyway.
James?
Follow Joy on socials at Joy Delaney Cox on Instagram and Facebook. See you next week.